Here's an essay that I just wrote and I'm about to send to the Cove congregation. The title is Blues versus Depression. During last week's 11 o'clock service, we started a new series entitled Plowing Through the Dog Days, Overcoming the Winter Blues. You see, for 6 weeks, we're looking at how we might deal with the blues, whether they come up in winter or not. And I've got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to discussing how it's important for sad folks to trust in God and to share those feelings with Him through prayer, to reach out to others, and become active and involved, and of course to look forward to better times. Now, that's an outline of the series, and I hope it'll be something that everyone will find useful regardless of their situation or faith. But in our first discussion, which dealt with recognizing that we're not alone in feeling blue, we drew an important distinction between being down and being depressed. You see, feeling sad is actually a normal human emotion. In other words, something that everyone experiences from time to time. Of course, there are reasons for a person having the blues, and those reasons may vary. I mean, it may come from some kind of disappointment or loss, or it may be grounded in an unexpected pain or sudden failure. But regardless of the cause, the feelings of sadness are the same. Fortunately, when either the situation or our perception of the situation changes, these feelings fade. In other words, we discover that there's life all around us, and we recover from the disappointment and loss, and we find a way to deal with the pain or failure. As they say, the time comes when we recognize that this too shall pass. And that's what we're talking about in this series. But depression is really something very, very different, because it's just not typical or natural. In fact, one could call it abnormal. You see, it's actually a mental illness that affects our thinking, our emotions, our perceptions, and our behavior. And it's not dependent on an event or a situation. It may just happen. In other words, if we're suffering from depression, we feel sad about, everything. A feeling that's present regardless of how someone else might perceive our lives. It's like feeling alone when surrounded by a lot of people. That's depression. And I'll tell you, depression can almost take over every aspect of our lives. For example, we lose interest in things we once found enjoyable and important. Our energy, motivation, and attention craters, and so does our ability to experience happiness, excitement, satisfaction, and meaning. We're quicker to get angry and frustrated, and we emotionally break down more easily. And bouncing back, that is a real challenge. In fact, we may both pull within ourselves and lash out at others. You see, this is how depression affects us. Of course, only a professional can diagnose depression, but these are some warning signs. For example, we might want to look for the following: a depressed or irritable mood most of the time, a loss of pleasure, or loss or decrease of pleasure or interest in most activities, including the ones that have been interesting and pleasurable in the past. Significant changes in weight or appetite. Disturbances in falling asleep or sleeping too much. Feeling slowed down in your movements or restless most days. Feeling tired, sluggish, and having low energy most days. Having feelings of worthlessness or excessive guilt most days, experiencing problems with thinking, focus, concentration, creativity, and the ability to make decisions most days, having thoughts of dying or suicide. Now, if we could check 5 of those factors, we probably should seek the help of a trained mental health professional for diagnosis and treatment. But fortunately, most of us aren't depressed. I mean, even though depression is, fairly common, most of us can navigate through the kind of sadness we all feel every now and then. And for that reason, let me invite you to read the first message in our series, Understanding That We're Not Alone, and to come and participate in the second, Deciding to Trust God. Amen.